Hey, we're live. We're live. Are we live?
I don't know.
We are live.
Oh, we are.
Oh yeah.
We're live. We're alive in this world. Welcome back, everybody.
Mm.
Apparently Twerp is watching Curious George. Good. It's a lot better than a lot of the other stuff he watches. Hello, Hajonk.
What's
There's
good,
really great
Hajonk?
Dr. Pepper and cream soda, and I don't know what it is. I wonder if Dr. Pepper and cream soda was something like that they made up, like that fans made up, and they started mixing Dr. Pepper and cream soda, and then they
Maybe.
caught on. I don't know. That'd be interesting.
I don't know if that's happened before.
I don't know.
Well, I mean,
Goose that can't watch the entire stream want to know
there is
why.
the-
Why? I do
there
want to
is
know why.
the notorious peanut butter and jelly where they just put it in the same bar or not the same jar. I meant.
I was
So
learning colors.
That's an example of that. What, are you 5?
Yeah. Oh no. Goose's house is being again. Also, not having a webcam is a great excuse, by the way. Yeah, that's part of my excuse. My primary excuse is Clearview AI is a thing.
Yep.
Cream Soda Podcast.
Grape Soda Podcast. Hey, welcome to the podcast, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. This is the yum. This is the first episode that's gonna also end up on the channel. Knuckle, do you have it linked anywhere?
The channel link is in the description, and that is way too narrow.
All right.
Yeah.
And
We're waiting on the requisite 24-hour threshold to be able to put anything on that channel. So
Yeah, I forgot. You can upload videos, but you can't live stream to a channel until you've verified your phone number and then waited 24 hours. It's so dumb.
Well, it's probably so that bots don't start doing stuff like that.
Yeah. But I don't think it's a super effective anti-bot measure.
I don't know. It's a popular one, though, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
The song says, "Cream soda is a drink South African that is green. In South Africa, that is green.
Interesting.
It's green.
I don't
Here
know
in
if
America, it's
green.
generally like caramel color."
Yeah.
I've never actually had it.
So Jonathan, what are you drinking today?
I'm drinking Dr. Pepper and cream soda. The story with Dr. Pepper and cream soda is I saw the commercial, and then half an hour later, my dad and I were already in the car going to get some. But of course, it was too early, and it didn't actually hit stores until a few months later. And it's
Wait, really? They put the commercial out, but they weren't even in stores?
Yeah, shipping. I don't know.
Oh, so it was probably in some other stores, but it just didn't get shipped to yours.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe their distribution location is pretty far from where I am.
Yes,
What the heck
I
did
am
I just do?
drinking unsweetened tea because I don't have cream soda.
Is it like a brand? Is it like from a bottle or is it homemade?
I don't. I forgot the brand. It's just from a big jug we have.
You know, I saw Snapple on TV the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and now I really want some Snapple because I haven't had it in a long time.
Yeah, Snapple's good.
It's so good. The bottle
Hajonk
cap
says
is
that the South African version of cream soda tastes very sweet and makes you way thirstier than you started off.
Sounds like
Interesting.
Sprite.
Interesting. Yeah. So, shall we get started on the reading?
I think we shall.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. Jonathan, if you want to start us off, I guess.
Yeah, sure thing. Sorry, I was thinking about doing a quick recap. I remember the first thing that happens in this chapter, which is basically a quick recap. So let us begin. All right, this is part 3 of Phil Swift and the Interdimensional Rift. 2 words. there are no birds in this chapter, I don't think, but it's
We get there.
We'll get
Um,
there.
We get there when we get there.
exactly.
Seen that meme?
I don't know. I mean, I'm
It's
assuming it's like a thing off of
Incredibles.
there yet. I don't know.
Big C says no roleplay this stream.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, do you mean like don't do any voices in this stream?
No, he's talking to Hajonk. He hates Hajonk
Oh.
for some reason.
Oh, because of like the stuff in chat.
I don't know what his deal is. He's mini modding. I'll just mute him, then he won't mini mod. Put user in timeout. There we go.
Hey. All right. Chapter
Big
12.
Six, quit mini modding.
All right, chapter 12, the separators attack. Oh, Josiah, you're Elon Musk.
That was quite the performance, Phil.
Elon commented aloud. He was watching the scene of the attack on the Sanhei casino on his computer. The two were in a private jet flying across Central Asia to the destination that Phil had not been informed on. Oh, Phil responded. It was nothing. Phil laughed a moment.
It was nothing.
Elon remarked. He turned his laptop to face Phil so that he could be reminded of the events of the previous day. On the screen, Phil once again saw the dragon being split in two.
Phil, you're too humble.
I saw this dragon in half, Phil said on the computer screen, followed by uproarious applause and cheering for Phil, which was ceased when Elon closed his laptop shut. Elon slid the computer back to his side of the small table and placed it into a small computer bag which sat beside his chair. Beside Phil sat his own Flex Seal branded briefcase, which now, in addition to Phil's own Flex Seal liquid, held his newly acquired tube of Flex Shot.
Yay,
Phil
first one down.
I know,
Hey.
it's great. Sorry. Chat. Phil looked lazily out the window and listened as Elon returned to the more pressing issue.
Now that this video has been broadcast to every television station, radio frequency, and every outlet of social media, the separators have no doubt caught wind of the fact that we possess at least one of the Flex Seal family of products, so we must be prepared for the next move, whatever and whenever it may be.
Phil nodded and returned to the view outside the window. Through the thin veil of clouds that existed at this elevation, he was somewhat shocked to see that the small black and purple swirl that was the interdimensional rift had grown to about the size of his thumb held at arm's length. Perhaps it was his relative closeness to the rift that made it more noticeable now than ever, but Phil was surprised that he had failed to notice its increased size previously.
We'll be landing soon.
Elon interrupted Phil's considerations.
So let's discuss what needs to be done when we land. We're going to have to sign up for a dance
It was at this moment Phil noticed 3 dots being expelled from the interdimensional rift. Elon! Phil exclaimed, pointing out the window at 3 ever-growing expulsions. What's that? Oh, sorry. Elon looked out the window in apprehension. Indeed, there were 3 small figures rocketing towards the private jet that carried Phil and Elon to their destination.
It's the separators!
Elon shouted.
Get down!
Phil Swift grabbed the small Flex Seal brand briefcase and braced for the impact of the separators' forces. In an instant, 3 large mechanical craft struck into the side of the airplane. They seemed almost of similar technical obscurity to the apparatus that riddled High Chancellor Gabagool Supreme.
Oh my gosh.
As soon as they impacted themselves into the side of Elon's private jet, the hissing... Sorry, this is actually... Actually, no, it's not. Never mind. I thought that was supposed to be a period. But it's not. And as soon as they impacted themselves into the side of Elon's private jet, the hissing shriek of air escaping through the edges of the great holes that were made into the side of the airplane's exterior. That didn't make any sense. Phil held the Flex Steel branded briefcase close to him as he dove from his seat. At the same moment, great hatches swung open from the foreign crafts. This action both served to open the gates in order to allow those who existed inside to be released, but also to anchor the crafts into the side of the private jet. As soon as these hatches were open, creatures of similar make to High Chancellor Gabagool Supreme erupted from them and flooded into the length of the private jet. Elon Musk In shock at the situation was presented, was unable to move from his seat, and though was, and, and though he made feeble attempts to resist his abduction, that the creatures had planned for him.
Phil.
That's pretty good. That's funny. Elon called out now and then, after seeing this, that his restraint was complete and his resistance
Sivo.
futile. Elon was,
Sivo. Something.
Elon was cut off by one of the creatures who seemed rather upset with the noise emitting from Elon's mouth.
Vod.
As soon as he was consumed back, and so he was consumed back into the depths of the nearest craft by the hands, or rather mechanical claws, of an overwhelming number of Gabagool's separator henchmen. Hello, Big C.
Ooh, you have hinted at which character is coming up next.
Oh.
Gabagool's separator henchmen? I mean, Gabagool's always there.
No. In the paragraph before that.
Oh, Vod, yeah. Phil Swift made his way, narrowly avoiding the similar fate of that of his friend Elon, to the emergency exit after managing to retrieve his emergency parachute from under the base of one of the closest accessible seats. At this point, the swarm of separators who had flooded into the airplane had nearly overwhelmed to the extent which Phil was. This isn't making any sense. I need to rewrite this. At this point, the swarm of separators who had flooded into the airplane had nearly overwhelmed the extent to which Phil was able to. Oh no, that makes sense. The extent to which Phil was able to kick and punch his way through the emergency exit while maintaining a firm grasp on his Flex Seal branded briefcase, as well as his parachute. However, the powers of Flex Fu enabled him to, with some effectiveness, move to the other end of the airplane where the emergency exit was located. The horrible noise of each of the four legs of every one of the dozens of mechanically assisted creatures filled the cabin, though was partially drowned out by both the squeal and hissing of the air exiting the airplane, as well as the striking of Phil's fists and feet against the raw flesh that made up the horrible bodies of the terrible creatures. At length, Phil made his way to the emergency exit without a moment's hesitation, he pulled the release lever that, with as much strength as he could muster, the small door shot open and Phil was sucked out of the plane, followed by 2 or 3 separators. As Phil Swift fell toward the ground, which loomed just over 40,000 feet from him, he looked back into the direction of the plane, which had begun to spiral out of control. Additionally, a plume of smoke had begun to bellow from the end of the plane as it fell. One of the 3 crafts which had rammed into the plane dislodged itself from its point of impact and made its way back towards the interdimensional rift. A moment later, a second of the 3 craft dislodged itself from the airplane in a similar to the first in terms of trajectory and speed, began its journey to the interdimensional rift. It was at that time, in addition to considering the sight of the plane and the escaping of the foreign objects previously mentioned, Phil was able to more closely examine the details of the Gabagool soldiers, or rather, those who had fallen with him from the private jet's emergency exit hatch. Similar to High Chancellor Gabagool Supreme, these smaller creatures were sorry, somebody just texted me.
Whoa!
What?
What the heck?
I don't know.
Something not good just happened.
Yeah, I see. The whole screen just went
My
black.
Firefox just... I don't even
Phil
know.
Swift in the interdimensional rift was just
Too powerful, I
Flex-tastic.
guess. Yeah,
Too flextastic.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay, it didn't seem to kill the stream, so that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me get the dock open again. Jeez.
Yeah, no kidding.
So remember when I texted you and said that Phil Swift was currently falling from 40,000 feet? This is that moment.
Oh, Gotta get the link. Gotta get the link. Gotta get the link.
Actually, read
Gotta
chat.
go.
Gotta paste the
Gotta
link.
get the
Gotta
link.
paste the
Gotta get the
link.
link.
Gotta paste the link.
Gotta get the link. Oh, I got to get the link. I got to
It's
get the
already
link.
saying a number of things.
Okay, I should take a minute and read
my
chat
goodness.
real quick. Yeah, our electricity just went out. I got the Wi-Fi alone on our backup solar, our backup solar panels we have. I don't know how long it will last. The problem is there is a cyclone destroying South Africa, so it's cloudy, meaning our backup solar panels didn't charge that much, so it probably won't last. So in about half an hour, it will go out, and I'm gonna be laying in darkness, waiting to fall asleep. At least it's only happened once in the last 2 weeks. Oh, dude, that's the worst.
That,
That just sucks.
bro.
Bloody. Zoom? What the heck? Zoom is having repeated aneurysms.
Pumpkin.
Zoom is having repeated aneurysms.
We're on page 94.
Alright, thank you. Okay, 94. Allow me to zoom in.
Okay. Are we ready? I think we're ready.
We're ready.
Google
Similar
Docs
to High
is
Chancellor
just being
Gabagool
slow
Supreme.
real quick.
Yeah, sure thing. Cool. Alright. Similar to High Chancellor Gabagool Supreme. Also, I don't know if it's supposed to be pronounced Gabagool or Gabagool, but I think it's fun to say Gabagool.
Yeah.
But sometimes I say Gabagool, since that's what I usually say. I don't know. It's fun either way.
Yes.
Other
Gabagool
way.
is my favorite word. Alright. Similar to High Chancellor Gabagool Supreme.
Gabagool.
I don't know, I'm making up new ways to say it. These smaller creatures who have similar composition at their core, that being of horrible raw flesh adorned with exposed organs and veins, all pulsating and dripping.
Ooh.
Considering that these creatures only seemed naturally to be composed of a mass of their sickening flesh, it was reasonable that they were mechanically assisted with a number of apparatus. First and most notably were their legs, most of which there were 4, and had organic veins and tubes, almost tentacles, if you will, wrapping around them at the length of them. Additionally, implemented into the mass of the organic components from which these creatures were derived was a similar set of mechanical devices to that which Phil remembered finding on Gabagool. If they stood on the ground, these creatures would reach perhaps 3 feet high. Perhaps it was that these creatures lacked any sort of appendage by which they might be expected to grab or interact with objects, or simply the fact that they already seemed so alien, but Phil considered these creatures to be just as horrible to look at as he remembered High Chancellor Gabagool Supreme, aside from the inherent, inexplicable, psychologically tormenting aspects.
Yeah.
Yeah, because High Chancellor Gabagool, he like messes with your head.
Yeah, yeah. I remember from the trials.
Yeah, the trials of Fictional Mountain.
Yes.
All right. Phil continued his descent, and when he looked back at the ground below him, it seemed to be
Oh.
much closer. What?
It went out again.
Oh, it went out again. Should I just continue reading?
Give me just a second.
Alright.
Boop.
Boo.
Maybe it's because you don't use Chrome.
Ooh, maybe.
That actually wasn't Firefox. That happens every stream because of my dad. Let me
It's
take this
unfortunate.
opportunity to read chat again.
Backup.
My parents played Half-Life Alyx today. My mom got sick and it laid for about 15 minutes. My dad has been feeling sick for the last 3 hours or so after playing it. Knackle, if I just stopped chatting, that means our backup solar panels went out. Unfortunately, we don't have a backup. That sucks.
What are they sick with? Do you know?
They just got motion sickness from playing VR.
Oh, you have VR. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what Half-Life Alyx is.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's a
I don't have
VR
VR.
game. I don't have VR.
I want to buy a Virtual Boy. They're expensive though.
Yeah,
They're
that's
not really
true.
VR either.
Aren't those red things with the tripods on the table?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was an
Episode is
LTT
too
on
nice.
those. Oh,
All right,
they
let's
look
continue our
cool.
reading.
All right. Phil continued his descent, and when he looked back at the ground below him, it seemed to be much closer than he would have anticipated, as he had only looked away for about 4 or 5 seconds.
Phil fell.
Phil fell. Oh.
Phil fell.
And Phil continued falling, attempting to stabilize himself in the air with both his Flex Seal branded briefcase as well as his parachute, until he remembered that he had not yet placed the parachute on his back. He fumbled with the two objects in his arms until he managed to place the parachute upon his back and the shoulder straps around his shoulders. In the confusion of fumbling with these two unruly objects, Phil had become distracted and was not attentive enough to his surroundings to have noticed the separator that had latched itself onto his back.
Uh-oh.
Phil instantly began to spin in the air, and before the creature was able to make any attack, Phil swatted it away with his Flex Seal branded briefcase. Good job, Phil.
Nice.
GG.
The horrible creature was flung from Phil's back and was sent soaring through the air away from Phil. After restabilizing himself as he fell, and now aware of his present attacks of the soldiers of Gabagool. Sorry, I keep getting text. Oh, my phone is already on silent. And now aware of the present attacks of the soldiers of Gabagool, Phil checked his peripherals and was able to swat away another of his midair attackers. The ground was now looming much closer to him, and Phil underestimated the speed at which it was hurtling towards him. Seemingly out of nowhere, the blast of a shotgun crashed through the air near Phil, and the third servant of Gabagool was impacted by the shot.
That's a lot of damage. Yeah!
That is a lot of damage!
That's a lot of damage! That's a lot of damage!
It really is a lot of damage.
That's a lot of damage!
I think that deserves a sip of cream soda.
I think it does.
I'm out of tea, so I can't sip anything.
I'm out of water, too. I, like, chugged the entire thing at the beginning of the stream because I was super thirsty.
Alright. That's a lot of damage, Phil shouted. You know, because he's, like, falling in the air, that's, like, already really loud, so he must have really screamed that.
That's a lot of damage!
Phil shouted as air blew past him, and noticing the death of the creature. Sorry, there was some grammar thing, but I don't think it's right. Anyways, Phil rocketed towards the ground further still and prepared himself for the moment in which it would be required of him that he pull his parachute release cable, that is, if he intended on surviving the moment of impact of the ground. For, considering the situation, allowing the impact to kill him was certainly a feasible option. However, taking into account that it was Phil that was prophesied to save the world, the universe, and the multiverse from the universal cosmic destruction, it was in his best interest to remain alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Most of the time, it's in your best interest to stay alive.
Yeah. I think that's generally a thing. Anyway.
Yep. Bloody. Let me turn off the stupid waiting room. I dislike Zoom quite strongly. Sinister just said bruh. It is definitely a bruh moment right here. Copy text. There we go. Boop. Alright. Give them a minute to join. Oh, that is not what I wanted to be doing. There we go. That sucks more than insert your mom's name here. Oh. Savage Hajonk. Savage Hajonk. Damn. Oh.
We back? I think we might be back.
I think we might just be back. Somehow we might just be
Alright, what was
back.
the last thing that I read?
I'm back.
I think you were like right here by the Russian countryside thing. Yeah, we were talking about how it was in his best interest to remain alive. Although, Sinister,
Yeah?
Russian.
Hajonk has a question for you.
What's up, Jonk?
Why haven't you uploaded in a year?
I think I don't know.
Fair
I don't know.
enough. Hang on, let me find your other channel.
My videos aren't even that entertaining anyway. Let's see.
Hang on.
Sinister. I think
I
it's
mean, I
been
made a
almost
video
2
for
years
that.
now.
I don't know, man. Let's see, I think I'm subbed to your other channel.
Okay.
Before this, I was watching a bunch of
There it
iDubbbz's content cops.
Here's another one of Sinister's channels.
Which one?
Little Failure.
Oh my gosh, no. I need to delete that one.
Okay.
Why did you link that?
I didn't. Never happened.
Delete your comment right now.
You already did.
Oh,
Alright. Should we continue?
I believe that we should.
This chapter is a lot longer than I remember. Anyways, after a moment of consideration, another crash rang out across the Russian countryside. Then, after the shortest perceptible moment, Phil felt the impact of the shot as the short shower of metal blew past his right side. Phil felt no pain, and after taking the longest inspection of his body that he could afford to take, as he was still hurtling towards the ground, Phil concluded that the shot had not been he had not been impacted directly by the shot. Instead, Phil realized that it was the Flex Hill branded briefcase that had been struck by the blast of the shotgun. Luckily, the all-important bag had not sustained such a major amount of damage as he first suspected. Perhaps it was at this moment that the unknown shooter below did not... Okay, this still doesn't make any sense. I'm going to have to rewrite this. I'm just going to highlight this so that I know that it makes no sense. Alright, perhaps it was at this moment that the unknown shooter below did not intend to shoot just Philip's opponents out of the sky, but rather the unknown shooter intended to bring down everyone and everything that hurtled towards him. Okay, Phil was just lucky that the shooter was the most minute amount of degrees off in his intended target.
Oh, thank
Phil
God.
continued, as you might expect, given his current situation and considering the effects of the gravitational pull of Earth, continued to fall. And if you had even a basic understanding of the way by which objects fall at an accelerating rate of speed, was falling faster than he had previously. That was entirely superfluous. Phil, at this moment, in the anticipation of a third gunshot from below, considered it time for him to, at length, pull the parachute cord, release cord that was attached to the right side of his parachute. So Phil pulled with all of his might, and for a moment that was slightly infirm. I need to restart that sentence. So Phil pulled with all of his might, and after a moment that was slightly longer and therefore full of a significant amount of anticipation and fear that it might not have truly engaged than Phil had expected, the parachute was released. I also need to redo that sentence. If you can't tell already, I did not have a chance to read through all of this before we're reading it today. Phil was pulled by his shoulders by the force of the parachute taking into the air around him and slowing his descent. He was now able to give a better and more comprehensive view of his surroundings now that he was not hurtling towards imminent death. Mountains seemed to surround him on several sides, save to the north. Not that any of them could compare to the mountain that he had previously scaled, but they were certainly hills, though perhaps not as great as those which Phil had come to know. The hills were greener here, be it the grass or the trees that dotted the landscape. Below him now, though it wouldn't be below him because of the below him now, though it wouldn't be below him forever because of the fact that he slowly drifted forward, was a river. The river itself was no more than 10 feet in width, but it was also of an, even at this height, notably high speed. At the side of one of these mountains, or rather perhaps at its base, was a small cabin with a green sheet aluminum roof and walls cut from thick logs. A small plume of smoke emitted from the lodge, and by this fact, as well as the fact that there were not any other houses or camps nearby, Phil concluded that this must have been the house of the person who had been shooting him during his descent. Phil floated downward, constantly anticipating the arrival of another shot from the gun below, until he was about 1,000 feet from the surface of the ground, and it arrived. Instantly, the effectiveness of his parachute that had sustained Phil was lost, and he began to plummet toward the ground, though not without the little assistance that the parachute provided. At last, the ground made itself so apparent and close to him that he was able to make out the smallest details of its surface. Finally, Phil struck into a low-hanging canopy of trees and branches, and the impacts of them against him, and whatever remained of the obliterated parachute, served to slow the fall of Phil until his feet reached just about 2 feet above the ground. Phil hung there in anticipation of the arrival of the shooter. He attempted to wriggle himself free of the hold of his parachute that his parachute had created in the branchest. What does that mean?
Branchest of the trees.
The branchest of the trees. Before the shooter arrived. But before he could, he was met by the gaze of a crazed man who brandished a double-barrel shotgun pointed directly.
Whoa!
I would just like to say, that was 100 pages.
Yeah!
Hey!
We're at 100 pages. 100.
Oh
pages.
yeah.
Actually, right now I'm at 133, I think, but we've read 100 pages.
That is
All right.
flextastic.
I love the blend between like flex foo, like him just like staring down Jack Ma and hi, Phil Swift here from Flex Seal.
Yeah.
I saw this dragon in half.
It's amazing.
That, like, as I've been writing, it's become a little bit more serious.
Uh-huh.
And it's like the flex jokes have toned down a little and the intensity has gone up, which, I mean, it's fine. It relates with the story better.
Yeah.
But gotta keep up those flex jokes.
Yes.
Flextastic. All right. Should we read? I'll read chapter 13 if that's
All right.
cool with y'all.
Does somebody do Vod's voice? Vlad
Sure. Do you
Koslov?
want me to try a Russian
You can
accent?
try. He has a husky Russian accent.
Who is he?
He doesn't
Hell.
talk very much,
Okay.
so it's okay. And
Again.
what he says is kind of made for a Russian accent, I guess I could say. Also,
I'll try.
I went with vodka Slav. I looked up Slav. To my knowledge, and I could still change this, is not racist. It's people think it's like an offensive term because of the etymology of the word, or the perceived etymology, I should say, because
Right.
you think slave, but
Yeah,
apparently
yeah.
that's just like what people assume, but it's not actually the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is
Anyways.
from regions that don't speak English at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is in no way related to slave at all.
I don't think so.
All right. Chapter 13. Vodka Slav.
Vodka Slav.
Vodka Slav. Vodka Slav. All right. The man, who had rather quickly located Phil, seemed to insist on remaining behind the foliage, which so poorly shielded him from view, and so he remained, simply sitting and observing who he had found hanging in one of the forest's many trees.
Hey,
The distant man called out after a moment.
who is he?
Phil considered what he had said it for a moment, and realized the man was talking about him and began.
Hi.
Phil smiled, his unusual, handsome smile.
Phil Swift here for Flex Seal.
Who's it?
The man said. He came out from behind the small coverings of shrubs that he had previously sat behind. Phil was now able to take a better look at the man who slowly crept towards him. He was a heavier man and lumbered with his movements. His figure wasn't at all helped out by the thick, red plaid coat that he wore with its buttons undone, revealing a rather stained and wrinkled white waffle t-shirt. Although the t-shirt could have only been seen through a thick brown beard that reached just past his chest. His rosy cheeks framed his large round nose and held his small circular glasses. His eyes expressed a constant state of shock and confusion as they darted around his surroundings in the search of some imagined threat. I feel like this is the kind of guy you find in your mom's basement. He was beginning to bald, and hair only existed at the very top and sides of his head. Around his neck was a lanyard attached to which a pan flute fashioned out of several small sticks had been hollowed out. Perhaps his most bizarre feature was the fact that atop his head was an empty glass bottle, fastened by an excessive amount of duct tape that wound its way up around his chin and opening directly upwards.
Who's it?
It's me,
Phil Swift said, smiling.
Phil Swift.
Oh, I am not know if Phil Swift.
The curious man said.
Phil Smith.
Yeah, I misread that.
The
I was just going with it.
curious man said warily.
You don't know me?
Phil asked. He was very confused because he thought that everyone had heard of him. This was truly the most unusual thing about the man.
Not the bottle he wore on his head, not the
He-
pan flute. The
he
fact that
didn't
doesn't
know Phil
who
Swift. I don't believe that.
It's really unusual.
Yeah.
I'm Phil Swift.
No, he bark. Oh,
No, he barked.
no, Phil Smith's here.
Oh,
Phil finally concluded.
well, would you please let me down from here?
The man looked about and checked his six in case someone was listening from afar.
Whose side are you on?
He whispered to Phil.
Whose side?
Phil asked, somewhat rhetorically. From the distance the man kept from Phil, it was difficult to understand his whisper, but Phil, confident enough to assume what had been said.
I'm on the people's side, not the separators.
The people's side?
The man asked once again, checking his surroundings.
So you are communist?
Phil didn't know quite what to say, but the fact that the man had, for the first time, lifted the shotgun pointing directly at Phil, he figured the answer must have been what he wanted to hear.
Yes, I'm a communist.
Phil is a communist, confirmed. The man laughed heartily and aimed his gun at Phil. Phil looked down its double barrel, who stared back with the cold darkened their depths. The trigger was pulled and clicked into its seat. The hammer flipped forward and slapped against the metal of the gun. Flame erupted from the depths of the weapon's chamber, and the sound of the shot crashed through the forest and rang in Phil's ears. As if in slow motion, Phil saw the shot of the gun race towards him. He slammed his eyes shut and cringed. A moment later, Phil felt a great impact. He opened his eyes and found himself sitting upon a damp surface of the forest. His parachute had been released, and finally, he had arrived on the ground once again. Standing above him was the man who had released him, and held out his hand to help Phil up.
Hello, today I am Vod.
Said the man.
Your name is Vod.
Phil asked.
No,
Said the man.
you are Phil Smith.
He pointed sternly at Phil and then once again.
I am Vodka Slav.
Flextastic.
Phil said. Vod looked around, confused.
Band?
Yes, he has a joke.
Yeah,
Oh!
Flex,
Reference
band,
is
yeah.
very strange. No.
Phil began. He pointed to the branding on his Flex Seal branded briefcase.
Flextastic.
Vaughn looked at Phil briefly and considered his face through his small glasses.
No, I am Vodka Slav.
Phil gave up and nodded. No, sorry.
Phil gave up and nodded silently.
Yes.
Vaughn said at last. He blew sharply through the pan flute and once again considered his surroundings.
Phil is to follow Vod today.
He motioned for Phil to follow.
Follow.
Vod led Phil through the forest that was Vod's home. Occasionally, he would motion for Vod to stop walking, play a few notes on his pan flute, and continue walking.
Passage of time.
Passage of time.
Thank you. At length, Vod Kaslav had successfully found his way back to his cabin, and welcomed Philip inside. Vod made his way to the door and began to unlock the great number of locks that lay along its outer side. The windows of the cabin were barred and somewhat neatly allowed for a small amount of light to pass through. Yet beyond that, and for only the smallest amount of insects, the slats were impassable. A wood-splitting axe stuck to the trunk of the great tree upon a large stack of uncut logs that had been piled against. Beyond the piles of the wood was a small outhouse, attached to which was a shed of about double the size. On the opposite side of the cabin from these structures was what appeared to be a small car under a tarp which, over the years, without disturbance, had accumulated a large amount of leaves, sticks, in a small pool of water.
I welcome you to my house.
Vod said. He hung up his weapon on a large rack of guns that hung next to the door. It's Russia. Okay. His house was lined on the three sides by built-in wooden cabinets that reached just about 3 feet high. They were covered with different objects ranging from scraps of paper, discarded food, unusual mechanical tools, a rather old-looking computer, a microwave, stacks of paper, ham radio system, newspapers, and much, much more. On the side of the cabin was that these overwhelming cabinets did not occupy was a bed and a small chest of drawers. Atop the chest was a pile of clothes that had been haphazardly tossed to their relatively permanent location. In the center of the room was a table surrounded by 3 chairs. On the table was an uneaten meal, the usual piles of paper, an electric space heater, and a couple of bottles of water. Is it really water?
Probably not.
It's clear and it's liquid. Okay.
I mean,
Considering the amount.
Because you'll later find out in that shed, it's just full of vodka. Crates upon crates of vodka.
That's
Considering
amazing.
the amount of clutter that lay around all of the other surfaces in the house, the table actually seemed relatively well kept.
Okay, can we?
Phil,
Pardon me, but can we pause for a second to reach out?
Of course.
Jean says good night.
Jacques says, I'm still here, by the way. Knuckle, I think I'm going to go to bed. It's almost 2 in the morning here. I'm tired AF, so good night. All right. Good night, man. Oh, I shall see you hopefully tomorrow. Possibly not tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to get slammed tomorrow. probably not gonna get slammed, but I also might. Who knows?
I got like
Gabe,
0
you're-
sleep last night.
Quiet. I don't know if that's just on my end, but
Oh,
It's on mine
really?
too.
Okay.
What are the levels like in the Everybody be
Testing.
quiet for a second.
Testing. Testing. Testing.
hello.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm trying to listen to the. I don't know. I think they're okay. I'm not sure.
Okay, can you guys say random gibberish for a second?
Blah,
Oh,
blah,
it's
blah,
random
blah, 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 blah. Random gibberish.
Waluigi licked his
Okay.
lips. Waluigi licked his
Waluigi
lips.
licked his lips. Waluigi licked his lips. Waluigi. bleh.
Big Six says my mic is muted. I think he's messing with me. Okay, am I a bit louder now, by the way?
Yeah, you're a little louder.
All right.
Perfect. All right. Back to where we were. Phil had just completed these observations when a great big dog came bounding from the bed where he sat and began to.
What's happening?
I don't know.
Josiah, are you doing something, or do you just have a broken microphone?
I sure hope that mic's not broken.
Sounds like somebody's flushing a toilet.
To me, it sounded like the inside bits of a mic rattling around. Don't ask how I know what that sounds like. I definitely haven't broken microphones before.
Hey, you guys were like frozen for a sec.
Yeah,
Canex does
were-
not have a Discord server, Hajonk.
But
Oh.
I think we're
It's
back.
happening again. There we go. Okay, we're good now.
Whoa! Reverb!
Wait, I'm getting reverb?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
just
think
quit
you've
and go
created
back.
a short little feedback loop. Yeah, you can
Okay,
you
what-
can go cuss him out in his DMs if you want, Hajonk.
Wait, what if I just stop talking for a bit?
I mean, do you want me to pick up where you left off?
Yes.
Phil had just completed these observations when a great big dog came. Yeah. I don't know why that was so hard to say. Came bounding from the bed where he sat and began to bark at Phil. Phil reeled a bit in anticipation of the dog.
Orko!
Vod hollered at the animal.
Niet!
The dog whined slightly and returned to the bed. Vod turned to Phil and pointed at the dog.
Orko!
He repeated. Vod continued through the house and came to the table. He pulled out two chairs, sat in one, and with his finger pointed the line from Phil to the second pulled out chair. Phil took a seat and waited for Vod to begin the conversation. Vod began questioning with the basic questions that one might expect.
Are you a reptilian? How many toes do you have? When was the last time you brushed your teeth?
All of these questions were answered by Phil to the best of his ability. After several rather unusual questions, Vod withdrew a magnet from his pocket, waved it around Phil's head. Finding nothing, Vod grunted slightly and put the magnet back into his pocket. Gabe?
Sorry.
Knackle?
Okay,
Vod said at last.
thank you for speaking.
Of course, Phil responded.
Now,
Vod continued.
speak to me about Phil Smith.
Phil nodded and began to relate his story to Vod, who attempted to express his understanding by nodding intensely, though much of it went over his head. First, Phil told Vod about his meeting with Robo-Obama, Xi Jinping, and Vladimir Putin. Vodkaslav, being a Russian himself, seemed rather impressed that Vladimir Putin had become part of the story that Phil told.
You speak with Vladimir Putin?
Vod asked admirably. Yes, for a moment or two.
Oh!
Vod laughed heartily.
He's a good and strong man from bottom of heart, yes?
Phil began. Sure, yes.
Very good, very good.
Vod said. He crossed his arms once more and
Speak
said,
more.
Phil continued his story and told how Elon Musk had rescued him from the clutches of Robo-Obama. I don't know why that's capitalized. Let me fix that real quick. Okay. Rescued him from the clutches of Robo-Obama. Then Phil told Vod about the Flex Seal family of products, which Vod was rather impressed by what Phil described, as well as his quest to retrieve them all. He told Vod about the Separator's High Chancellor Gabagool Supreme, Yeth, and the Universal Cosmic Destroyer, and the Interdimensional Rift. Next, Vod told his host about his journey to China, his meeting with Xi Jinping at the Sanhui, and his climb to the Zhuge de Shan. Phil introduced Vod to the idea of Master Lao Tzu Tang and the powers of Flex Fu. Then Phil spoke of his journey to the Sanhui Casino, the crazed Jack Ma. Phil described the terrifying Flex Dragon. Also, is this supposed to be hyphenated? I don't know. I'll fix that later. That Jack Ma had become, as well as Phil's incredible victory. Finally, Phil related how he had once again met with Elon Musk taking off in his private jet, the Separators' attack, the kidnapping of Elon Musk, and Phil's daring escape. With his story finished, Phil then proceeded to ask, and you, what is your story?
Ah!
Vod exclaimed.
Very good story, very good story.
Vod described how he had moved into the wilderness, fearing that the United States would destroy Russia and destroy any major cities in Russia.
It is 1977 years, yes?
Vod described. Through broken English, Vod continued to tell of how he built this small cabin and how he had lived all these many years since then. Phil asked where in Russia they were, hoping to get a sense of where he was in the world. In response, Vod pulled out a map about halfway down one of the many stacks of papers that could be found in his cabin. He pointed to Russia and said,
Russia!
Phil nodded concernedly, and Vod continued his tale after replacing the map. He told Phil about Orko, a mastiff that he encountered not far from where he had trained, and who he had trained to assist him in hunting. But most of all, Vod told Phil about communism and the once great Soviet Union. At one point in the conversation, Phil begged to ask, "What is so great about communism?"
Communism?
Vod asked, surprised that Phil questioned its greatness. Vod proceeded to describe the inner workings of communism and how it was the best system of government, but in doing so was in fact describing the rules of the board game Monopoly. After finishing with the rules of pass and go, Vod continued to tell his story. He told Phil of Iskra, although by Vod's flawed English, Phil could not quite understand exactly what Iskra was, and in any case, Vod finished his story rather quickly. After all, despite its instigation, there was not much to tell. Throughout both stories, Orko listened intently.
All
Okay.
right. Suppose I'm probably reading now.
Hold on, Josiah, let's see if we can figure out your situation, because there's
Yeah.
a lot of Elon Musk lines in this next chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Yeah,
You've
you're
got the
still.
reverb point. Just
Okay,
try
I'm-
leaving the meeting, coming back,
Yeah,
Okay.
because that's what fixed it
probably.
last time.
Big brain move.
Anyways, that's Vodka Slav. I'll send you the picture of him.
Would you mind Discording it to me if you can?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Just in general.
Do you want to just DM it to me?
I don't know if I'm that proficient in Discord. Let's see if I can figure it out.
I think you just click on my user and then click on message.
Okay. I figured it out. Cool.
Haha. Again,
Vodka
big
Slav.
brain.
Enjoy VOD. VOD.
Oh, that is awesome. Oh. Jack Wagner says, "What is up, my digital friends?" Jean
We're
says he's
reading-
back.
Hey guys,
Awesome, it's fixed.
hey, I need to leave for dinner. We've streamed for almost like a little bit under an hour.
Okay,
I mean, we can
Um,
leave off here.
we
There's no
totally
issue
can.
Yeah.
with that.
Because we're right at the next chapter, right? All right.
Prisoners of Gabagool. Well, in
Alright,
that
Zoom is
case,
yelling at us. Cool.
Well, folks, it's been a blast.
Most certainly
first
has.
episode
Yep.
on the
Next
podcast.
time we'll figure out.
what?
Oh, look at chat.
Man,
Oh. I am not condoning cussing out. What's his name? Canux 210 at all.
Johnny Swanee, Johnny. All right,
The reverb is back.
For real, guys, I gotta scoot. So
All right.
dip like a big
Have a-
toe into a spittoon.
Have a,
Yeah,
a
so-
good day.
yeah, see you guys. Bye bye.
Bye. All right. Well.
Adios.
Thank you guys for watching. Everyone drop a F-bomb on Canux. Oh, thanks for watching. If you like the stream, you can give it a like. If you want to see more like this, you can subscribe to the Cream Soda podcast channel, which I will paste the link in chat once again. I do not condone it because I don't want to get in trouble. You can subscribe to the Cream Soda podcast channel. Over on this channel, I do video game stuff, including Minecraft, Dark Deception, Among Us, etc. The reason that this is being streamed on this channel is the reason this is being streamed on... Sorry, I keep losing my train of thought. Apparently I'm really tired today or something. I don't know. But the reason this is being streamed on this channel is because the Cream Soda podcast channel has to wait 24 hours before I can stream because YouTube is stupid. Anyway. Games. Alright. See what I can do. And yeah, I also have a Discord server. Links in the description. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it. And goodbye.